Hey guys, today we're diving into a story that will make you rethink everything you know about humanity. Imagine a galaxy vast and filled with species far more advanced than us, their technologies beyond comprehension. Yet among all these civilizations, there's one universal rule. Do not wake humanity. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi thriller. But in the depths of the universe, this rule isn't just a suggestion. It's a decree upheld by the most powerful and terrifying species in the galaxy. You probably won't survive this unless, of course, you're prepared for a galaxy-shaking surprise. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Now let's set the scene. Picture the universe in all its majestic chaos. Alien species, each more powerful than the last, have risen, fallen, and evolved over millennia. Some can manipulate the very fabric of space-time. Others can bend the laws of physics with a thought, and some have mastered technology so advanced that to the average being, they seem like gods. And yet, in the midst of all this power, there is one species, humanity, that everyone fears not for their technology or might, but for the simple fact that they have been the most unpredictable force the universe has ever known. It all began when an alliance of civilizations, a sort of galactic council, made the fateful decision to develop and control the universe. Over the centuries, they grew to dominate the stars, keeping each species in check through treaties and pacts, ensuring that no one race could rise to unchallengeable power. One rule, however, was kept secret from all but the highest councils: do not wake humanity. Why? Because humanity's past was riddled with war, destruction, and untapped potential. Despite their seemingly fragile nature, humans had a disturbing habit of surviving no matter the odds. And whenever they survived, they evolved, becoming more dangerous, more capable than any other species could predict. The galaxy had learned through bitter experience that the greatest threat to the balance wasn't an overwhelming alien empire, but humanity's ability to grow stronger, smarter, and more resilient with every challenge they faced. So the rule was clear. Leave humanity to their quiet slumber, floating in the void of space, dormant for centuries. Let them sleep. Let them forget the chaos they once caused. But what happens when that rule is broken? The universe had kept its rule for so long, believing that it was the only way to prevent chaos from sweeping across the cosmos. Yet as the ages passed, not everyone could resist the pull of curiosity. One such individual was Zorath, a young and ambitious researcher from the peaceful Orvathian race, a species known for its obsession with knowledge and understanding. Zorath had always heard whispers about the rule and unwritten law that all the most powerful civilizations followed without question. But to Zorath, it was nothing more than an enigma, an unsolved mystery begging for exploration. One day, while studying human history from the safety of his observation post, a high-tech research station orbiting a distant star, Zorath grew restless. He had heard the stories of humanity's past, its rise from a fractured, war-torn species to a powerful force that had once shaken the foundations of the universe. He read about their wars, their innovations, and their unyielding drive to survive, even when their world was on the brink of destruction. What intrigued him the most was that despite all their aggression and turmoil, humanity had never truly been destroyed. They adapted, they overcame. To Zorath, that was the most dangerous thing about humanity. They were unpredictable, and that unpredictability fascinated him. His curiosity became an obsession. Zorath's people had long monitored humanity from the shadows, but they never interfered. Until now. One night alone in his research station, Zorath made the decision to break the rule. He activated the dormant Earth communication signal, unknowingly breaking the ancient law that had kept humanity dormant. His reasoning was simple. He believed that awakening humanity would merely show them the error of their past, a species so ingrained in chaos that they would never rise to their former glory. He thought perhaps it would be a moment of scientific discovery. But the moment he sent the signal, the entire galaxy began to stir. Humanity's long-forgotten instincts, buried beneath layers of peace and modern technology, flared to life. The first response was subtle. A ripple of activity spread across the planet unnoticed by most humans. Their governments, usually content in their quiet world, began to show signs of confusion. The people were waking up, questioning their reality, experiencing flashes of awareness, disconnected fragments of their violent history that had been suppressed for centuries. But Zorath, initially indifferent to the potential consequences, continued his observations, believing that it would soon pass. What he didn't expect was the immediate and overwhelming response from the human military. It wasn't a defensive reaction, not at first. Instead, humanity's leaders, who had long worked in silence, began to mobilize their resources, their technology, and their people in ways that even Zorath could not predict. It was as though they had been waiting for something. They didn't attack, or at least not yet, but there was something in their eyes, something new, a spark. Humanity had been dormant for too long, but now they were awake. And what they had forgotten about their own nature was coming back quickly. Zorath watched in awe as humanity's intelligence agencies, military minds, and technological innovators began to work in perfect unison, tapping into resources that had long been left untouched. They were pulling their most powerful weapons from the vaults, repairing old machinery, and developing new technologies faster than any species in the galaxy could comprehend. They were no longer the weak, fractured species they once were. The awakening had begun, and Zorath was left standing paralyzed by his mistake. The warning signs were everywhere now. Humanity was preparing for something bigger than just a quiet awakening. The peaceful civilizations, who had once governed the universe, were now beginning to take notice too. They too had never considered what it would mean if humanity rose from its slumber. As Zorath continued to monitor the developments on Earth, he realized that his small act of curiosity had ignited something far greater than he had imagined. Humanity was not merely waking up, they were reassembling themselves into a force no one could control, and that he soon discovered was far more dangerous than he could have ever anticipated. As humanity's quiet awakening rippled through Earth's systems, the effects were soon felt far beyond the planet. Zorath's transmission, which he had assumed would be inconsequential, had triggered something far more profound than a mere resurgence of humanity's old instincts. The galaxy's once secure balance of power established through treaties and non-interference began to shift. The space alliances that had governed for centuries suddenly found themselves faced with the realization that humanity, once thought weak and fractured, was capable of stirring itself into a force far more dangerous than anything they had imagined. The first signs were subtle. Earth's scientific community, long isolated, suddenly began to exchange knowledge at an unprecedented rate. Old archives that had been sealed for centuries, technological blueprints, scientific advancements from the darkest chapters of human history were being unlocked. Computers once limited in scope were now processing at speeds that rivaled the galaxy's most advanced systems. Old war tactics long lost to time were rediscovered, modified, and modernized with alarming efficiency. The military-industrial complex, which had been dormant for generations, now worked tirelessly modernizing old weapons and creating new, more effective ones. Spacecraft once relegated to museums were now being retooled for intergalactic combat. Humanity's reach extended beyond their homeworld as they created new spacecraft capable of long-range travel, drawing on their innovation and ingenuity. And with this sudden leap in capability, a strange energy began to build. It wasn't just the weapons. It was the unity. The fragmented nations that had once fought among themselves for dominance now stood together, united by a singular purpose: survival. The unity of humanity was something no one had ever considered before. In the past, they had been divided by borders, ideologies, and political systems, but now they were a single force working together with the urgency of a species that had been asleep for too long. In the distant reaches of the galaxy, the alien councils were starting to panic. The quiet whispers of humanity's rising power grew louder with each passing day. The Orlac, the most advanced civilization in the galaxy, issued a formal warning to all the other species: in the alliance, humanity has begun to awaken. It must be contained. But containment was never an option. Zorath, in his growing dread, saw this truth unfolding right before him. The alien alliance dispatched small fleets to Earth, hoping to neutralize the human threat before it grew too powerful. But they underestimated what Zorath had already learned. Humanity was not a species to be subdued through force alone. The moment they were threatened, humanity would adapt, and they would not fall without a fight. The first alien ships that arrived in Earth's orbit were met with an unexpected response. A small, ragtag fleet of human-made ships, crewed by a mixture of military personnel and scientists, engaged the alien vessels. But instead of launching an immediate attack, They performed a series of evasive maneuvers, disrupting the alien ship's communications and jamming their weapon systems with a mix of old Earth technologies and newly developed software. The humans weren't using advanced weaponry. They weren't using brute force. They were using their minds, their unpredictability. The alien fleets found themselves at a disadvantage for the first time in centuries. Humanity, once viewed as weak, now displayed a terrifying potential, the ability to turn their very weaknesses into strengths. They didn't need the most advanced weaponry. They just needed to be creative. And the more the aliens fought back, the more humanity's resolve grew. Zorath, once eager to observe, now found himself questioning the very nature of the rule he had broken. The more he watched humanity fight, the more he understood why they were feared. It wasn't because of their weapons or their strength. It was because humanity had an endless capacity to evolve, to adapt, to unite in the face of insurmountable odds. They had faced extinction before, and yet they kept coming back stronger. The alien alliance, watching humanity push back their fleets with a combination of guerrilla tactics and raw ingenuity, realized too late that the true purpose of the rule was never about preventing humanity from dominating the universe. It was about keeping the universe from being overwhelmed by humanity's potential. The universe had always feared that once humans realized their own power, they would become an unstoppable force capable of shattering every boundary and rule set by the galaxy's most powerful races. The humans had no grand plan for conquest. They had no desire to rule. But once they were awakened, once they rediscovered their strength and unity, the true danger became clear. Humanity would no longer remain contained. Their potential was limitless, and they would rise not through force, but through an unstoppable will to survive and evolve. As humanity's unexpected rise continues to ripple through the galaxy, the alien alliance begins to understand the true nature of their mistake. What was once a forgotten species relegated to the fringes of space now stands poised to break through every barrier that has kept them from reaching the stars. The universe, for all its might, is starting to realize that the one thing they feared most, humanity's limitless potential, has been unleashed. The alien fleets, despite their advanced technology and overwhelming numbers, are unable to handle the ever-evolving tactics of humanity. The more they send to Earth, the more the humans adapt. They evolve their strategies in real time, finding new ways to counter every move their enemies make. Each alien assault on Earth only strengthens humanity's resolve. Every attack that was supposed to crush their spirit only serves to fuel the fire that is now ignited across the entire planet. But Zorth, the alien researcher who inadvertently awakened humanity, finds himself torn between his allegiance to the Alliance and his growing admiration for humanity's will to fight. From his observation post, he watches as humans build alliances with neighboring species, offering them technology and knowledge in exchange for cooperation. They are not seeking to dominate the galaxy, but rather to create a new order, one that is based on unity and survival, not destruction. The turning point comes when humanity, in their newfound unity, makes an audacious move. Instead of retreating or continuing to fight back defensively, they strike directly at the heart of the alien alliance's most powerful weapon, a massive space station designed to control entire sectors of the galaxy. The station is protected by a fleet of the most advanced ships armed with weapons capable of decimating entire worlds. But humanity's unexpected strategy is something the aliens didn't see coming. Using a combination of cyber warfare, old human tech, and an understanding of alien psychology, they infiltrate the station systems. They don't fire a single shot, but they send the station into chaos, exploiting its own systems against it. The alien fleet guarding the station is left in disarray, unsure of how to counter a species that has no regard for the conventional rules of warfare. Zorath watches as humanity's strategy unfolds. The attack on the space station is a complete success, and the Alliance's most powerful weapon is disabled without a single human life lost. This isn't a show of brute strength. It's a testament to humanity's ability to think, adapt, and outsmart even the most advanced beings in the universe. The Alliance, once confident in their superiority, now begins to question their very understanding of what it means to be powerful. But even as humanity's influence spreads, Zorath feels the growing dread within the ranks of the alien alliance. They had never imagined that a species they had kept under such strict control could rise up so quickly, so unexpectedly. Now the alliance is scrambling to contain humanity, sending fleets and forces to Earth, in a desperate attempt to prevent them from breaking through the last barriers of space. But each attempt only strengthens humanity's resolve. They are no longer the fragile species they once were. They are something more, a force that cannot be contained. The twist comes when Zorath, in a rare moment of self-reflection, uncovers the truth about the rule he had so eagerly violated. The universe had not sought to protect itself from humanity because of its warlike tendencies. No, the rule was to protect the universe from the limitless potential that humanity possessed. It was never about the fear of humanity waging war. It was about the fear of humanity evolving beyond the constraints of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. Humanity was the key to unlocking something far greater, a force that could break through cosmic limits, bending the very fabric of reality itself. If they reached their full potential, there would be no force in the universe that could stop them. As the alien alliance realizes the grave mistake they've made, they begin to understand the true power of humanity. No longer just a species confined to Earth, no longer the weak and fragile beings they once believed them to be, humanity now stands at the precipice of something far more dangerous, the ability to reshape the galaxy in their image. The alliances they form, the technologies they develop, and the unity they bring are the first steps in a journey that will lead them to the stars and beyond. Zorath, watching from his distant post, known that the universe will never be the same again. Humanity, in all its unpredictability and adaptability, has broken free of the chains that had kept it dormant for so long. The universe may have had one rule: don't wake humanity, but that rule has been broken, and now humanity will rise. As the stars above twinkle in their eternal dance, the universe feels different now. The balance has shifted, and an undeniable truth is dawning across every corner of the galaxy. Humanity, once confined and underestimated, has broken free. The chains that held them dormant for centuries have been shattered, and with it the very fabric of the universe begins to tremble. The alien alliance, having spent eons controlling the cosmos, now faces an unpredictable new force, a species that defies the rules of warfare logic and even existence itself. Humanity, with all their flaws, their imperfections, and their unyielding resolve, has proven that their potential is limitless. What was once thought of as weakness, their vulnerability, their inability to dominate with sheer power, has become their greatest strength. They don't need the most advanced technology, the largest fleets, or the deadliest weapons. They need only their creativity, their unity, and their relentless drive to survive and evolve. As the alien alliance begins to realize the consequences of awakening humanity, they understand they've made a fatal error. The rule they had tried to enforce wasn't just for protection, it was to ensure their own dominance in a galaxy that was now awakening to a new era. But it's too late now. Humanity is no longer the underdog. They are the future. And as they break through the final barriers of space, they carry with them the knowledge that they are the ones who will shape what comes next. The universe, with all its power and history, will have to adapt to this new force. Humanity has awakened, and the galaxies will never be the same.